St. Vincent de Paul, everything you need to know.
We are fortunate to have a St. Vincent de Paul in our county run by some very dedicated volunteers. Today on Health IQ, we are visiting with the president of our local St. Vincent de Paul, Jenny Martinez. I am Brenda Bishop, your host. So, Jenny, several weeks ago, you were at the Health Council meeting sharing about the services at St. Vincent de Paul, and there were so many things that you do for the community that I was not even aware of. So I'm really glad you were able to come today and talk about some of those services. And I think we may want to start with the mission of your organization and maybe some of the background about St. Vincent de Paul.
Sure. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about St. Vincent de Paul. That is very close to my heart. St. Vincent de Paul is an international Catholic lay organization, and so they are international. Okay, some of the little background on it is that the main office is in Paris, and then our office for the United States is in St. Louis. But it's all about volunteers, and the mission is to help those that are underprivileged, those that are struggling through lives, to put it kind of in a summary, with working towards a network that is inspired by the gospel. And so the mission is, as stated, anybody that is struggling, we hope that we can help in one way or another. So locally, we are at Tucumcari conference, like you say. There is about, I'm going to guess about 47 in the state of New Mexico. I might be off a little bit. And so the way we're structured is we actually report to Santa Fe, the Archdiocese of Santa Fe, and they have a diocese of Albuquerque. So we're in different districts, just like most organizations. A lot of our services are not means tested at all. So anybody that walks in there for some kind of assistance are treated with respect and dignity, because we realize it's really difficult for them to go in there and ask for help in the first place. Right. And everybody's circumstance is very different. And so there's a lot of them that will say, well, I found it really hard to come in here, But once they go the first time, we see them more than once, which could be good in some eyes and could be bad. But, some of the circumstances that they are facing cannot be corrected overnight or with one type of assistance. So our mission is to improve lives, one individual at a time. And we do that for our neighbors. And we serve, St. Vincent de Paul serves not only Tucumcari, but Coy County.
Right. And so with that mission, that allows you to do many things. And so most of what we think of when we see St. Vincent de Paul, if we're not involved, is the thrift store. And the thrift store is an important to our community because so many people need those items that are in the thrift store. So would you like to talk a little bit about the thrift store? How to give donations, what kinds of items you have, all those things, and of course the hours. And
Of course. Our thrift store, not to complicate things, but is what we call special works, a special works under St. Vincent de Paul. And so the only way it operates is with donations. And we have like an overwhelming support of the community. Some of the things and items that we receive are just like, wow, they ended up at St. Vincent de Paul. A lot of them being vintage and antique. And for example, we received a set of bicentennial dishes that were at eBay being sold for $2,600. So we get a lot of good donations. Now, our pricing is not going to bring us $2,000 and probably not even going to bring us $500, because we take into, or should I say, we consider the economics of where we're at. And Tucumcari is, as most of us know, the poverty is very high in New Mexico. So we try to be the thrift store that is able to assist them. So the items that we have are just, people just think of thrift store as clothing. We get jewelry, we get real precious jewelry, necklaces, that kind of stuff. We get furniture. We get household items. We get dishes. We get a lot of footwear. We get both men, women's, and children's clothing. I don't know that there's anything that we don't really receive, and most of it come from individuals, who want to help other people in the community and they know how we operate, or a lot of estates. We get a lot of donations from the estates and stuff like that come to St. Vincent de Paul once they realize that we're helping the community and that we're 100 based volunteers. Nobody gets paid for anything. So, and then they realize that it goes back into the community to help those that are less privileged. But the only thing we don't really can accept because of the space are large appliances, refrigerators, stoves, that kind of stuff. But, we have been known to accept some microwaves and stuff like that. So the thrift store is like really, to me, it's the place to go. As you say, there's not, here in Tucumcari, they can go to the dollar store, they can go to the Family Dollar, or they can go out of town. And sometimes it's really unique because if they're looking for something, they say, oh, let's go to St. Vincent de Paul. And the surprise on their face, 50% of the time they find what they're looking for.
So you were talking about the thrift store and all the things you have. If people wanted to donate, how would they donate to it?
They reach out to us, or else they can just go by the thrift store at 118 West Main Street and actually drop it off. We have where they can drop off in the back of the store, in front of the store, depending the quantity that they're bringing. Mm-hmm. And it can be done on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays during the operational hours, which are 10 to 2.
So you don't want people just to drop off anytime. It needs to be when you're open. So that
good point. Yes, sometimes we do find something up front, and it's okay, but we prefer it to be done when we're there. Sometimes we'll make an exception. If it's an estate and the family's coming from California or something, they'll call us and we'll meet them there. But we prefer it to be done on the days of operation.
And you mentioned about estates. So I assume you take furniture. You talked about microwaves, small appliances, but as well as clothes and shoes and
you got it.
Jewelry, all those things.
There's probably not anything that comes to mind right now that they don't donate. That's why it's easier for me to say what we don't accept because of space. What we do ask in the donations, if we're looking at clothing and stuff like that they're clean, they're in good condition, to be respectable of what you're donating, because that's going to go out and help somebody else. So we don't want anything that's not clean. We don't have the ability to clean them. We don't have the ability to load up something that's not working and get rid of it. So we ask that everything's in working condition and clean.
And you are a thrift store, and so you do sell the items because you use that funding then to run the utilities and all for the thrift store, correct?
Good point. Our thrift store runs, on donations, like I said, and we have both items that are dropped off, and we have monetary donations. And it depends on that and the sale of those items in order to be able to help those that are not as lucky as some of the others or ourselves or underprivileged or just need some help, So we have to be able, the item has to be sellable in order for us to put it on the floor. And that's what helps the community with our various services. And some of the services that we provide are, of course, in-kind services. So if we have some individuals that walk in that have just had a really difficult time, maybe lost their house, maybe just moved into town, maybe lost their residency, and they need stuff, that is pretty much given to them at no cost. They can come in, shop at the thrift store, have them fill out an in-kind form, they take it. Our number one priority is to help them. That's one of the services that we do. The second service that we do is food assistance. So if somebody is struggling and they need a food voucher, we help them with the food voucher, and the circumstances depend, of course, on each individual basis and how much they get, and our budget, of course. Mm-hmm. Utility assistance.
So that food voucher is like just to the grocery store then?
Yes.
You don't actually have food that you have.
You're so good at this. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have a food voucher that is issued to the local grocery store, but we also have a community cupboard.
Okay.
We do not have what they refer to in most cases, like the bigger thrift stores, as the food bank, because we don't have the space or the area. But we have a community cupboard that we are so ecstatic about that is 100% funded through the Knights of Columbus local chapter. And they keep always restocking it, so we're never out of anything. And so the food assistance is in two different ways, okay? And so the community cupboard is just amazing. We're talking about great stuff that they bring in, not just your common little. So it's got a lot of good items, and they have us take inventory and say, what do you need? What do you need? And the members just restock it every time. So we always have that available for the neighbors here in the community. So that's great.
And the Knights is the men's organization for
it's one of the societies for St. Anne's, absolutely. Yes. And it's the men's society. And they just started volunteering to help us out. And they were the reason we started the community cupboard.
and they do many good things in the community as well. So you have the food assistance, and that's really a wonderful service, but you also do other services.
Yes, we do. Probably our number one service right now, and I think everybody can probably figure out why, is actually our gas vouchers. We know the cost of fuels have gone up, but in our community, as we know, we don't have any doctors that are specialized in certain things. So they do a lot of referrals. So we give them medical vouchers for out-of-town medical trips, regardless of whether it's a dental or a chemo treatment or whatever. They can come in with just something simple as proof of appointment. And we will give them a voucher and they will get a full tank of gas. And we help them this way for two reasons: to make sure they take care of their health, number one, and number two, that they don't have to decide between filling up a car of gas, keeping their appointment, or maybe putting food on the table. So that's been our number one service. The other thing we do is utility assistance. Now, I do want to be clear that utility assistance is not done every day that we're open because it's a longer process. So we do it on the first and third Tuesday of every month. And so we ask for any of the neighbors that need any of this service to just call and say, can I come in this morning? Can I make an appointment? And we'll take care of them. So utility assistance is the same. If they're struggling with that, then we will help them with that. We also have emergency services. We haven't done it a lot because it's been very difficult to start the actual contractual thing that goes with it. But we do emergency rooms for some of them, if they've lost their house, that kind of stuff. We try to work on that. We're working on that. It's not really been something we budgeted, but it's something that the conference members have said, let's look at that because we've been getting a lot of requests. So we do have that, some of those emergency assistance. We also have helped someone, vehicle got broken into, they stole everything. We helped them take it for repair. So there's a lot. Let me just put it this way. There's nothing that St. Vincent de Paul, cannot provide as long as we have the funding. And so there's a lot of those areas that we do. And if they need help, they can come ask us and we can say, let us look and see if we can do that. It's not one of our primary services, but it also helps us so that when we do the budget for the next year, saying, hey, this service was requested quite a bit, so we need to consider that.
Right.
But so we do all those services. There's so many of them. Let me make sure if I got them all.
Well, one that you talked about that I had no idea that you offered was the homeless support.
Yes. It's been about a year. I applied for a small grant for homeless services. And we do have that, and they come in, we help them at no cost. They can get food, they can get whatever, but they are given a backpack that has everything in there. And I mean, it has winter stuff in there. It has raincoats, it has toiletries, it has food, it has just about anything you can think about is in that backpack, plus a sleeping bag. So those are put together for our homeless population. So we do offer that, and we do offer services to the homeless, yes.
Do you have socks?
It has socks. It has socks.
It has everything. A big need for our homeless population.
They have socks in there. I think it has just about everything, really. Wow. And the only thing we didn't put in there because it was probably not safe was tents, because we didn't want them just camping everywhere and stuff like that, okay? But other than that, but if they want a tent, we'll give them a tent if we have it. We give them blankets, and it includes blankets, but if they want additional blankets, they want additional gloves. So it's that set of money is strictly for the homeless population.
So that, I didn't think about that, but do people donate outdoor gear as well?
They do. Yep. They do. We've had some tents. We've had sleeping bags. We've had, I really can't think of anything that's not donated to us.
Wow. I had never thought about that. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So I think as far as I can remember, you covered all your services, and all those services, they can just contact you at the thrift store to get access to them.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, but you mentioned that, with funding, if funding's available. So I know that there are several ways that you get funding. You might want to talk about some of that.
Yes. The funding that we receive to be able to continue to help, primary is the thrift store, but I don't want to say primary equals the major funding, but it's the primary source, okay, of funding that's ongoing and repetitive. We also do fundraisers, and probably some of our biggest fundraisers are like the bingo. People in this town love their bingos. So we are allowed to have a bingo without a license once a quarter from the Gaming Commission and the Archdiocese. So that's our biggest one of our biggest raffles and biggest fundraiser. In fact, it's happening now in July, on July 19th at St. Anne's at Hammond Hall. The jackpot will be $700. So, hopefully everybody comes out. The next one that we're doing, we've done raffles. Like right now, we're currently raffling some items that were donated. And it was actually a beautiful hand-carved eagle out, I think they said it was oak wood, and the table that it stands on. And then we had a handmade also by another artist in town, which is the chess pieces and the chess game and the chess table. So that'll be given up. We're having raffles for that now, and that'll also be given on July 19th, which is another raffle that we've had going. Those are the two current raffles that we have going now to help us with the funds. I wrote a grant like probably 2 months ago, and I did receive it. So that really helps us. And McMullen has been one of our biggest funders for community. And that pretty much covers the medical travel and some medical assistance. I wrote that grant for medical assistance. I forgot to mention that. It's medical travel. And if someone doesn't have health insurance and can't make the co-payment or can't pay for the prescription or can't, we try to help with that. We haven't quite developed the policies for that because we just got those monies. But McMullen is the one, okay, that one of the biggest funding, and Catholic foundations. The thing is that Catholic Foundation is a long process. We wrote a grant in April, and we won't know till September. But we rely on grants, the thrift store, and raffles, and private donations that come in. We do get that. Mm-hmm. And I cannot forget that St. Anne's, every other month, it does have a collection just for St. Vincent de Paul. So that's how we keep it funded.
Right. And sometimes you have special events to draw people into your into the thrift store. Like if I remember right, in March you had March Madness or something.
And that was a big success. It was March Madness, and we had it the whole month of March, and everything was 60% off. It really did well. It really did well. We've had, like, when we move inventory, we'll have like 50% off our 99-cent specials and stuff to move the inventory. And then what I do want the community to know is that when items don't get sold, especially clothing or shoes, it still goes to a good cause. We donate them to Hope Ministries, and they help the third world countries, and they help people in the community. So your donation just, it helps everybody in the community. It never just stops helping. So even if it might not be sellable at the store because that might not be what they're looking for, it still helps the community. So I think that was important to mention. So never think that your item is not good enough to donate to St. Vincent de Paul, because it probably is.
I think in the past, I even remember there was sort of a trend to go as a fun group event. You would go to a thrift store and buy the craziest outfit, and then you go back to wherever your group was and vote to see who had the best outfit. And you've participated in those things.
We still do. Mm-hmm. We actually are the thrift store to go to when they're looking for Halloween costumes and stuff like that, because it's amazing what you can find there. You do find hidden treasures and stuff, so we do that. Mm-hmm. St. Vincent de Paul had, the regular stuff that goes around the what is it called? The Christmas bunny sweaters or whatever that is.
Ugly Christmas sweaters.
We had Santa Claus there for Christmas, giving free toys and free candy and stuff. And we have all those events going on to hopefully motivate and entice people to say, hey, come see what we're all about. So, but I got to tell you, and it's just amazing with the support that we do get. I mean, we actually get donations for even out-of-staters that just like, wow. And they do a lot of thrifting, and Tucumcari, and we had Rawhide Days. We're going to have the reunion. They usually stop by and stuff. They're looking for antiques and stuff. But I was really proud of my volunteers. They made such an impression on them that when they got back to Tennessee, they sent us a large donation for St. Vincent de Paul, or what I would consider large, right? But I mean, it's just great. People are great. They really are.
So you do a lot for the community. And another thing that you're doing is the honor wall?
Yes, thank you. We're doing the honor wall of all veterans, even active veterans, even National Guard, Coast Guard, Army, everybody, Marines. So if you've been to St. Vincent de Paul, you see some of those pictures already hanging there. But with the 250th anniversary coming up, we wanted to update it, and we wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to get their loved ones there. And it's been a great success. We've had people drop pictures up from great-grandfathers, from World War I, the Korean War, and we're like, wow, look at those pictures. And so we want to honor them. And what happens is they stay there. They never get removed. Sometimes they get faded and we have to ask for new pictures, but we already have that going. We're just trying to update it and make sure that we captured everybody that might have missed taking their pictures of their loved ones.
So something that people can come see anytime that you're open. So anything else that we missed as far as your services that you wanted to make sure that we touched on?
I think we got most of our services, but I do want to leave you with knowing that if they have an emergency, they have a difficulty, please, just because it's not listed, go see us, see if we can help you. Because just because we're not mentioning it might mean that we just hadn't had that situation come up, but we're there to try to improve lives in any way that we can.
That's a wonderful service. So before we leave, I'd like you to tell again hours, address, phone number, and all that for the...
Okay. Like I said, St. Vincent de Paul is located at 118 West Main. We are open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 to 2. We have our phone number, which is 505-461-1369. We have our email, which is St. Vincent with just ST, stvincent.tucumcari@gmail.com.
Thank you. And we'd like to thank you for coming today, sharing about St. Vincent. And we have this wonderful tumbler. Actually matches your outfit.
Hey, we planned it. This is great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And thank you for having me on.
We hope you
It's been
enjoyed
wonderful.
that. And we'd like to thank our crew today, Bobby Hockaday and Joyce Runyon. Couldn't do this without them. And we hope that you learned a lot about this valuable resource here in our community. And if you're looking for a place to volunteer, they are always looking for new
please. And I'm glad you
volunteers.
brought that up. If you can't volunteer the 3 days a week and you can give an hour, we'll take it. Without volunteers, St. Vincent de Paul will not exist. So,
Or you could even volunteer to help write a grant or some paperwork behind the scenes. So be sure to join us next time for another interesting health topic.
Special thanks to our guest, Jenny Martinez, president of St. Vincent de Paul Tucumcari Conference, and our host, Brenda Bishop, Quay County Health Council Coordinator.
Podcast crew, director, Robert F. Hockaday. Producers, Robert F. Hockaday, Joyce Runyon. Camera operator, Robert F. Hockaday. Second assistant operator, Joyce Runyon. Editor, Joyce Runyon. Music provided by David Morris. Funding for this podcast is provided by New Mexico Legislative Appropriation from Representative Jack Chatfield. Brought to you by Quay County Health Council. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Quay County Health. If you have content ideas, reach out to us at healthiqpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast was created solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for advice from a healthcare or mental health professional.